Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming story chapter, Act 4 Chapter 3 Part 1 Void of Bias, featuring the debuting Astos from Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise. The event synergy units are Astos, Leila, Xande, Yuna, Edge and Amidatelion. Astos will be debuting with his full kit, which includes his FR, Burst, C90 Awakenings, and FR boards. Yuna will be the other featured returning FRBT unit. Unfortunately, Yuna does not get her FR Echo boards. We will be fighting Exdeath and his pet camel, Catoblepas. Both has 210 million HP each. Exdeath does not have any major resistances. The Catoblepas has low resistance against poison and paralysis along with high resistance to speed down debuffs. The turn requirement is 40. The HP requirements is 5000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Iris, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Yuna, Braska, Iroha, Pernello, Garnet, Rem, and Selpha that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. On the screen I have listed down the key utility that you can consider when forming your party for this fight. Throughout the fight, the boss has a force gauge charge rate boost whenever the boss or player acts. If you let them take a turn, do be mindful of the following ability. When Exdeath is taking his turn and you do not have an ally whose brave is not maxed, he will use Black Hole plus follow-up attack off his usual standard rotation attacks. Black Hole Plus is an AoE magic brave plus HP attack that reduces the buff duration on all targets by 5. Any buff whose duration is below 5 will get dispelled. To cancel the boss force time, you need to use a non-elemental magic FR ability. Examples of magic FR units are Astos, Cloud of Darkness, Ace, Ram, Rinoa, Charlotta, Sid Reigns, and Tira. Avoid bring party enchanters, otherwise these units won't meet the force ability cancel condition. His pet camel, the Catoblepas, has a lot of moves set without a fixed rotation. It can petrify a target with Evil Eye or set a target's brave to 1 with Death Eye. It is also noted that other than the boss force ability, none of their abilities are guaranteed hit. Bring an evasion-oriented setup is highly recommended here if you are intending to do the hit and counter run. The banner features 2 of the game's best budget evasion tanks in Leila and Edge. Buff extenders are great for helping the fight with Yuna, Sis, Eiko, Hope, or bring units who can self-extend their buffs like Squall, Queen, Ada, etc. Most of the boss HP attacks are mainly single target, so you can ignore all danger with the use of the usual cover tanks or damage mitigation buffs. To ensure you have any unit capped, you can make use of brave floor units like Ursula, Vaughn, or Yang or Iroha for her brave consumption reduction mechanics. Overall, the fight is an ultra easy one if you do not let the bosses take a turn. The fight can be cheesed with the infamous Idaroth or Ult Quina combo. But you need to ensure you have the measures to guard the force ability and prevent the trigger of Black Hole Plus. You also need to ensure you have the healing utility to meet the HP requirements. As we are no longer have Lufania Plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. If you do not bring any force chargers, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. Throughout the fight, the boss will gain 4% charge rate up whenever your party acts. The gauge properties will also allow Exdeath to incorporate a follow-up attack Black Hole Plus when none of your allies' brave are maxed or capped at 100% max brave. Black Hole Plus is an AoE magic brave plus HP attack. It will reduce the buff duration of all target buffs by 5 turns. In other words, any buff whose duration is less than 5 will be dispelled. When the boss gauge is at 50% and above, the boss will lower both your party attack and brave damage by 100%. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, depending on the max brave condition of your party, Exdeath will use a different variant of its force ability, Grand Cross. If your party has at least one member whose brave is capped, Exdeath will use Grand Cross, which is an AoE brave magic HP attack that reduces all allies' HP to 20% of their current HP. It will also inflict 3 frame debuffs, 50% attack down, 50% defense down, and 50% speed down for 5 turns. If the party has no one with their brave capped, Exdeath will use Grand Cross Plus, which is the same attack as Grand Cross except it will also dispel all your party buffs. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 20 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, any player party's buff granted or debuff applied, the duration becomes 1. As the duration is quite long-lasting and restrictive, it is your best interest to cancel it. Let's say Rubicante uses his LD which usually gives him buff 12 turns. Using this buff while the force time will give you 1 turn instead. If the buff is active with 5 turns, the buff will remain at 5 turns. Let me give you an example on the debuff aspect. Rubicante counters will usually apply 6-turn Fire Imperil. While the boss force time is active, any Imperil debuff he applies will be only lasting a turn. To deal force weakness on the boss, which will cancel the boss force time, you need use a non-elemental magic FR. There are a lot of them. Examples are Astos, Yuna, Cloud of Darkness and Sid Rains. Avoid bringing party elemental enchanters or it will result you unable to cancel it. Now let us go through the key mechanics of the fight. Let cover on Exdeath's pet camel first, Catoblepas. It has a big variety of moveset and the trigger of the moves are random. So, I will like to point out the following 2 moves that you need to watch out for. 1. Death Eye, the Catoblepas will set your target's brave to 1. This can be very annoying if Exdeath's turn is on the following turn where none of your party brave is at the max brave. If that happens, it means your party need to brace for an incoming Black Hole Plus. 2. Evil Eye, in the videos that I watched I never saw the Catoblepas uses this. So, there might be a chance that this move is applicable for the Lufania difficulty of the fight. The attack will inflict 1 turn Petrify debuff which turns the target to stone. You can get out of stone status by either cleansing the debuff, let the stone target get broken or kill the Catoblepas. Now let us focus on the main boss. Exdeath has only 2 moves, Black Hole and the standard brave attack and he will rotate between them. You can tell which move is coming by the target indicator. Black Hole is an AoE magic brave attack. It will inflict a 2-turn sap debuff on all targets. It is worth noting that the sap debuff will drain the brave that scales off 10% of Exdeath max brave. Make sure that at least one of the allies' braves is capped at maxed, otherwise you will face the risk of incoming Black Hole Plus follow-up. To make the fight easier, you can do boss no turn run with the standard delay and launch rush down team comps. Okay. Let us proceed with the unit FR review. Astos is the featured banner unit and one of the hyped unit. You will probably have some questions to ask about him. Is he being worth the hype?
Guess.
Is he a must-pull?
Guess.
Okay. I know you are not watching the video for a guess. My answer is that it depends if you intend to make a max investment for him. For those who are doing Black Crystal Quest, having Astos will make your task significantly easier. There are JP players who did not get him and still playing the game, and there are also players who clear Black Crystal Quest without him. Personally, I don't see myself using him a lot on my main account since I have a vast roster, while I might use him a bit more for my Scotty Jr. account. To make him do the big damage that he is able to do, you need to power up him with powerful supports that boost his max brave and raises his HP damage up. As he is a new unit, let me cover a bit on his kit first. Astos' kit revolve around the stored value of his overhead buff Dark Matter. The Dark Matter will store all the brave damage that Astos dealt, and it will be capped at his max brave unless his BT aura is active. However, once Astos is broken, the stored value will get reduced by 50%. It is also important to note that all of Astos' abilities consume his brave except his HP plus attack and BT attack. His S1 is a magic HP damage 250% times of the value of his Dark Matter 10 times. His S2 is a magic HP damage 250% times of the value of his Dark Matter 5 times. His A gives him auras that raises his max brave by 30% both stolen and gain max brave overflow by 20% and 10% respectively, and raises his brave damage cap by 20%. His EX will allow him deal 300% of his Dark Matter value 9 times, followed by 300% to non-targets. The ability will also grant Astos his framed buff, Suffering of the Fools, which raises his attack, max brave, HP damage up and stolen brave overflow. The ability will also grant access to his Cremation, an instant turn, free turn HP attack, which is an AoE brave plus HP off 150% value of his Dark Matter. His LD will allow him to deal AoE brave plus HP damage 250% off his Dark Matter, followed by a splash HP damage of 250% of his Dark Matter 6 times. It will give you a free ability use after using this ability. The ability also gives Astos his other framed buff, King of the Dark Elves, attack up, max brave up, brave damage up and HP damage up. Upon using his Force ability, Astos will deal an AoE brave plus HP attack where it scales off 500% of Dark Matter, followed by a splash damage of 500% of the value of Dark Matter 3 times. While the Force time is active, the party will gain 50% HP damage up. Let me cover on his Force conditions. 1. Use a magic ability will give you 30% HP damage bonus. Astos is a magic damage dealer. Pair him with magic supports and just let him do his thing. 2. If the unit have a special effect active, you will get 40% HP damage bonus. Special effect refers to overhead buffs or BT auras. Most of the supports have overhead buffs. If they do not have an overhead buff, you can use Garland LDCA to meet the condition. A charger support like Aerith, Yuna, or Pernello can supercharge the condition for 90% HP damage bonus. Now let us cover a bit on his BT. When maxed out, his BT aura lasts for 6 turns. The BT is an AoE magic brave plus HP executed 2 times. It will result him dumping his brave. It provides the standard auras where it raises the party max brave by 50%, brave damage cap by 20%, HP damage up by 50% and max brave cap by 30%. Now let me talk about the most important feature of his BT aura. It will allow all stored value in his Dark Matter to go beyond his max brave. In other words, as long as his BT aura is active, Astos is unaffected by the limit the max brave cap imposes, which limits that other units. Effectively, he means that he can reach the damage hard cap limit of 99,999. So, does Astos need his burst to be usable? The answer is an absolute yes. If you cannot get all his weapons S1, S2, EX, LD, FR and burst, full enhancement boards and force boards, you will be better off skipping resources on building him. The burst obviously needs to be green. To build up on his Dark Matter, you need to have Astos dealing brave damage to build up the value. The abilities that allow him to deal brave damage is his brave attack command, his LD, his cremation HP command, and his burst ability. So, is Astos invincible and can he solo content? The answer is no. No unit is invincible. Astos do not have a lot of brave shaving utility. He will need to rely on his party to keep the boss brave under control. Iris is a great support partner for him as her EX can copy his damage and her BT aura allows boss key stats set to 1. To further boost his damage potential, max brave and HP damage up utility is important for him. Unlike most units, thanks to the uniqueness of his abilities, his basic skills S1 and S2 are his hardest hitting buttons assuming you have the party auras to boost his max brave and HP damage up. With of course, his BT aura active. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming days. Bye.